Welcome back to The Legend of Zelda. Stab this man! So, last time we got through Dungeons 5 and 6, so now we've got 7 and 8 to do. We're pretty much at the point where we don't have too much to do in the overworld, and it doesn't take us too long to get from place to place, but the dungeons, they are so very long. Of course, screens like this are still kind of a pain. May have a good sword, but they also have good weaponry. Alright, so as we get on our way back, let's see, I feel like we hit the next dungeon almost immediately, if I'm remembering correctly. And I'm also trying to make sure I don't go down there and get stabbed at the same time. This is just a secret to everybody, though. What, did you think the dungeon would just be hidden in the bushes? Pfft, no. They wouldn't just put a dungeon in the bushes like that.
So, how long did it take you to realize what it's a secret to everybody? What he was trying to say?
I'm trying to remember. I don't even remember where I first picked that up, because that's just been a thing people have said for a long time.
Yeah. It's very much... Well, it's something people repeat because it's kind of nonsensical, but... Of course, what he's trying to say is, don't tell anyone I'm down here.
Yeah. You know, maybe people would find it less nonsensical if he just added the word capiche at the end. Maybe that would make it make sense.
We can't irrevocably make all the Moblins from Brooklyn. We can't make them Italian American.
So anyway, this is the entrance to the next dungeon. The whistle also does this, but not to the pond that the fairy lives in. That would be rude. Alright, so, this is level 7. This one is Demon. We'll see the map later, so when we do that, I'm sure it'll make plenty of sense, but, you know, it is kind of fitting in a way, because, you know, here we are in the first room, and boy, I already hate it.
I was about to say, these are some, like, incredible moves on your part, but you must have been in a pure panic.
Uh-huh. You know, sometimes I think about that one time where I'm pretty sure I disassociated while doing, like, a room in Bayonetta, one of the optional ones where you just fight enemies. I just got through a state where I actually did, like, really, really well. I'm just like, huh. Okay.
Got possessed by the actual Bayonetta.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it's something like that. Eventually, you go through something enough times that you just sort of get the moves. But anyway, yeah, statues that fire things are the worst, and nobody likes them.
I hate those, and I don't even do no hit runs.
Yeah. Like, they are gonna be the source of a lot of damage normally. Okay. Sure. Okay, who here has a nose? I don't think there's a lot of noses around here. Oh, hey, here's Dig Dogger. So, yeah, remember how, there have been bosses reappearing as mini-bosses? It's just more of that. Thankfully, Dig Dogger's actually still pretty easy, but they do give him room hazards. But, yeah, we are pretty much at that point where the dungeons are huge, and we're just going to be casually encountering so many bosses.
What is it about these Stalfos sprites that make them look nothing like Stalfos?
I feel like they look like every, like,
skeleton.
8-bit skeleton that has ever existed.
Yeah, stealth hosts have like weird heads. These guys have normal heads. Even like the later sprite-based games, they don't have the same heads that they do in 3D, but it's still a little off. The face doesn't look quite right.
But yeah, these guys just look like normal skeletons, like, what's the name of the game Mom played when I was a kid? I think it was Castle of the Winds? Yeah, skeletons look like something out of that. Here's Dodongo. I'm going to ignore Dodongo. I mean, I've got 12, that's pretty good. But I do have to kill many Dodongo. Also, I have max money anyway, so thanks. I do believe you can still damage Dodongos, even if, like, you only sort of hit them with a bomb, but it doesn't do as much. They have to swallow it. Anyway, I got money for that. I bought bombs with money so I could get slightly more money. But in fairness, I could actually pick this money up and it means something. If I hadn't bought the bombs, it would be meaningless. There's no wallet upgrades in the game, it's just, you know, $2.55. Most of anything you can have ever. It's just it, that's the biggest number. I'd also just like to bring up the fact that it's not just the boss of a dungeon that roars when you get close to its room, it's just like any mini-boss as well, so that's kind of a good tell. If you're about to fight a mini-boss, then you just, you will know ahead of time. Alright, so I'm thinking nothing wacky's gonna come up soon. Unless we're about to pick up the map. So I think... Overall thing I wanted to say today was just, I think Zelda 1 as a whole, and... I guess the perception of it, because I feel like this is... the sort of game, and of course this isn't always true, but it's one that you kinda have to grow up with, to a certain extent. Like, obviously not everybody who played it as a kid is going to like it, and... not everybody who got into it older is going to hate it, but it's definitely one of those... an active imagination and the free time to feel like you're on an adventure, definitely play a lot into how much you're going to enjoy this experience. Like, this is very much similar to Dragon Quest. And that's sort of like... people are really passionate about original Dragon Quest, and there's definitely a bit of a split there on... were you able to let this game have room to breathe and have fun with it?
Well, the new remake, you know, has updated the presentation enough that it's probably easier to get into.
Okay, apparently something wacky is happening here. So when he says grumble grumble, he means you need to feed him meat.
Well, he's not saying it.
Hope he can figure that one out.
That's just his stomach rumbling. Too bad there's no way to indicate onomatopoeia on the NES.
Yep, asterisks simply did not exist. Behold the demon!
I'll be honest, that doesn't look like anything. Let alone a demon.
I would have believed you if you said this was the Snake Dungeon, to be honest. Hey guys, it's me, level 7!
The risk of getting your video demonetized, it looks like the sprite from Custer's Revenge more than anything. Oh, wait, you're seeing it as a head. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it definitely doesn't look like a demon. Looks like a Muppet.
This is me, level 7. I'm like level 5, but 2 better. My CEO wouldn't include AI in any of my games.
Oh god, the room's so bad it's just slowing the game down. Oh yeah, and we can't escape until we've killed everything. Oh man. So yeah, back to what I was saying before, I definitely feel like this is the kind of game that really requires some patience. Like, if you do not like failing at things and kinda bashing your head up against things, you're not gonna get into this super well. And yeah, I do feel like you also just need to be the kind of person who likes it when you just see rooms like this and you're like, alright, here I go killing again. I feel like you can't really get into this without sighing. It's just, is that a thing that's enjoyable to you? Again, I'm the freak who likes the Dark Train, so... well, I'm not here to judge.
You brought up the Dragon Quest comparison earlier, and the way this game and that game treat event flags, I would say is pretty similar.
In that they're next to non-existent.
Where, like, you gotta unlock the next thing, well, I hope you can figure it out. At least in Dragon Quest, there are, like, normal JRPG NPCs you can talk to, but, like, you just have to figure out, like, which ones are saying things that mean something, and which ones are just talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one has more of an active story, in comparison to original Zelda. You can definitely see kind of the shared blood/origins between Zelda 1 and Metroid. This is very much... there aren't really event flags necessarily so much as just items you pick up to progress. The flag is the thing you collect that makes you go forward.
And, like, as different as this game feels from later Zelda, I guess when you just put it down on paper, it's not that different. The later games just added NPCs and, like, stuff around what you're doing so that it makes more sense and you aren't just whistling in front of a pond to drain it for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in a newer Zelda game, it would at least tell you somewhere that that is a thing you can do. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, no, I feel like other games are definitely a little more my speed. I went into this with a walkthrough, and also, I have to do this without taking damage, or I just sigh and hit the load state button to go back earlier.
Yeah, it's not been too long ago since I played the Game Boy Color Zeldas, which are 8-bit Zeldas. And yeah, they just feel very different from this, despite on paper not being that different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is definitely a lot more trial and error than anything else, really. You figure out what the devs were thinking. Oh god. Oh, and Wallmaster's cool.
For the most part, like, there are enough hints that you can beat the game, you know, without just doing random stuff, but there are so many weird secrets that you can easily just spend hours trying to find everything. What does this room even want you to do? There we go.
Amongst running from these jerks who, yeah, they just sort of do whatever. Now, thankfully, they don't do damage, so the fact that I can't get by that guy, at least I don't lose a heart for it, because otherwise, I'd have just been out of luck there. But yeah, this game just makes me think of, like, even though I didn't click with Tears of the Kingdom a lot, I do distinctly remember that that game's at least a little bit better at, like, teaching you things, even without necessarily using words, because initially when I was trying to build things, you know, I tried to build a vehicle, because that's what everybody's gonna try to do, but I couldn't figure out wheels. Also, here's this guy again. But yeah, I couldn't figure out wheels until I saw a different cart that, you know, just going around. I was like, oh, wait a minute. If I just do wheels like that, that's how I have things move around. And yeah, surely enough, that's just how that worked out. I could make vehicles after that, and I actually really like that. Even if I never stuck to Tears of the Kingdom, I'll always remember that as just being a real cool thing of the game's able to effectively convey something and not even have to use words, which is a thing a lot of people complain about later Zeldas, is just like, oh, they tell you everything. They're too handholdy.
I want to play Tears of the Kingdom, because I'm one of the 3 people that like Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts. But I haven't done everything that I want to do in Breath of the Wild. Like, I never even got the motorcycle. So...
oh yeah.
I don't want to move on to the next game before I beat Breath of the Wild, because I feel like once I play Tears of the Kingdom, I'm never gonna want to go back.
Yeah, I guess I don't really like third-person builders. I mean, I guess I can play Minecraft okay, or at least did back in the day, but yeah, I don't know. There's just something that wasn't clicking with me of just, you are controlling a person and you have to be in this space while you put things together. Like, I wouldn't want to play Kerbal Space Program like that. I don't want to do Zelda like that either. Far less complex, sure, but nonetheless, but... yeah, the puzzles really weren't getting me. Only some of those rupees are useful. Alright, now if I recall correctly, there is definitely an item that I have yet to get that I will want to pick up before we get to the next dungeon, which I think it's just a shop item. And we are at max money, so like, you should be able to afford it, I should hope.
So you compared this game to Dragon Quest. Do you know anybody who is referred to the Legend of Zelda games as RPGs?
You know, I feel like I must have encountered somebody like that in the wild, but I can't recall them. Boy, this is really expensive! So this is the blue ring. Which means once we walk out, Lynn's now a different color. She's blue now. That's what the item does. So yeah, this just halves the damage you take, so, not particularly useful for me, which is why I did not seek it out until almost the end of the game. I could have done this at any other point with 250 rupees, but yeah, I don't need it. But I do want 100%, so... Lynn's blue now. This is just how she exists.
It's very periwinkle looking blue. Definitely not the color the ring was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a much darker blue. But I guess that's just the ring. It can only transfer some blue over to us. Incomplete blue. Right, so I don't recall how much money we'll need for the rest of the game, but, currently I have almost none, because that takes almost max money to get. Alright, so next off we're heading out to the forest. Which looks about the same as everything else. This is just a desolate wasteland with the worst old people you've ever seen. This is how you know it's post-apocalypse.
You see, I would think in the post-apocalypse there'd be less old people.
No, unfortunately, they were the main people to survive. At least out here. Supposedly, there's other parts of Hyrule that exist. Though the only other person we know other than Zelda in the backstory is Impa, who's also old.
You know, I'm thinking... You know, in Breath of the Wild, which, as we've said, shares a surprising amount of DNA with this game over other Zeldas, most of the world is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it would be better if Ganon were gone, but most people are able to live their lives and, you know, get by. I just wonder, like, how far away do you have to get from here before you just find towns where people are normal and there aren't 100 moblins coming out of the woods to kill you?
Well, there's still hundreds of things coming out to kill you, but, I guess you just have to go far enough to find the world map from Zelda 2, The Adventures of Lyn. Which is definitely what that game's called. Because, you know, that game does have towns, but not here. Also, hey, you know that thing I said earlier, I lied, welcome to level 8. It's just here in the bushes!
You know, I think this is the dungeon I was thinking of that was like, man, this is the only one that you might not be able to find.
Mm-hmm, it's just here, so... In fairness, it does stick out, but I feel like you might see that and think, this might be one of the holes where an old man will tell me, hey, fix my door for me. And then charge you money.
I was gonna say, like, you definitely burn it eventually, just because of the way it looks, but yeah, it's so mean.
There are punishments in this game for finding secret rooms, but it's not the right secret room. Oh, hey, Manhandla. I guess we didn't hear roaring for this one. No, we've heard roaring for some of them. But anyway, yeah, level 8 is the Lion, which, is for a couple reasons. Probably mostly one. But the way I see it is, lions, of course, are used as symbols of bravery or courage, and while I cannot find anything in the manual that says that, our hero has the Triforce of Courage, like just about any other incarnation of the character, Link is described as being courageous, so I still think it's a fitting final normal dungeon to go through in that case. Okay, this is not the item I was thinking of for the dungeon, though. This is just the Book of Magic. Here it is, it's the Bible. But its spine is weird. But yeah, this is just an upgrade for the rod, actually, which, you know, I've used a couple times, but haven't really emphasized, because we were talking about other things at the time. But, yeah, now we can shoot fire.
What's the limitation on the rod? Since there's no magic meter, what stops you from just using it all the time?
I think it's... I don't really know if there is a, particular drawback to it or a preventative thing. I think it's just a pretty powerful item. Like, it's not quite as long range, and I don't think it's, like, the most damaging to most enemies, but, like, you can kind of just use it. Bow's better for damage and range, but...
Yeah, I know arrows in this game use rupees.
Yes.
I didn't know if, like, every magic blast was 2 rupees, and I wasn't staring at the rupee count to check, and you did that.
Also, yeah, no, I was incorrect about the range, because that goes across the room. I was thinking about the candle fire for some reason.
Very different.
Yeah, no, that's just lunch info. Oh god. But also, yeah, no, you are able to actually light up rooms with the flame as well, so it does actually have multiple uses, and hey, I did actually wind up using this. Forgot I actually used the arrows for these guys.
What else are you gonna use the money on?
Yeah, at this point, like, I've got the armor, so... At this point, unless I want to rebuy some meat so I can fill that inventory space. That is now empty. Disgustingly so. It's good to use arrows.
I guess they're not that much of an improvement for you. So you're on a no-hit run.
Yeah, I've got Sword Beam, always. If I don't have Sword Beam, I have failed.
I think my favorite incarnation of the Sword Beam is honestly in Hyrule Warriors. It's just the most fun because there are, you know, in typical Musou fashion, so many enemies on screen. It's honestly harder to miss enemies with your Sword Beams than it is to hit them.
Also, slight aside... Spectacle Rock is an entrance to death! Ooh! That's a hint for the final dungeon. But anyway, yeah, slight aside, but, okay, if I'm remembering the order correctly, technically, Link to the Past comes before this, right? In the overall timeline order.
God, I don't remember.
Because... I specifically remember it being like, this would be the most sensible game to come first for the hot timeline split.
Yes.
But Link to the Past does, and I don't
The Link to the Past was explicitly marketed as a prequel to this game.
Mm-hmm.
And the Hyrule Historia timeline, in general, they're not the best about this, but in general, they want to preserve any, like, interconnectedness that is clearly supposed to be between games.
Yeah.
So, like, they don't do anything wacky and make, like, the Adventures of Link take place in a separate timeline from this game.
Mm-hmm.
But because Link to the Past was supposed to be a prequel to this game, it remains a prequel to this game, even though thematically it would make more sense for this to happen after Ganon wins.
That's always my thought.
But I guess it's just not as bad as it seems. Also, how is this a lion?
So you kind of see the mane on the right side there in the face. If you remember the Goofy key face from the beginning, it resembles that. That key, the magical key is also supposed to be a lion. The magical key, of course, is an item we're getting from this dungeon, so that is probably more why this dungeon is shaped the way it is. But I like the idea that this is the last test to get your courage-based artifacts.
One thing I miss about console generations would be comparing games from the beginning of a console to games at the end of a console. Like, I guess the jump from this to The Adventures of Link isn't a massive jump, but like, I think of how the first Mario Bros. Looks compared to Mario Bros. 3.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, like, I bet they'd eventually figure out how to make a lion. Instead of just giving us this fucking Rorschaching plot and telling me it's a lion.
There we go. There it is, it's the key.
Yeah, I can definitely see that's a lion. I'm not. I'm not convinced still. Like, I get it, but I'm not convinced.
The dungeon is a lot less happy than this key. Anyway, we now have an A number of keys. So that means you never have to collect keys again. We just have unlimited. So, theoretically, if you just got the candle, you could come to this dungeon pretty soon and get unlimited keys for the rest of the dungeons.
Yeah, good fucking luck.
Yeah, I'd much rather just use up bombs on walls and not use keys or go to stores and get keys if I run out than do this. I mean, it can't be first, but soon into the game. I don't need unlimited keys that much. Sometimes hitboxes are generous. Oh god. And like I was saying earlier, there's so many rooms that you just look at and go, ugh. Gibdos aren't even that tough.
I hate whenever you have to fight the bubbles because I keep staring at them and getting a headache.
Yeah, that's just sort of the bubbles in this game. They suck as an obstacle because I don't want to lose my sword, but also I just hate looking at them. That is satisfying,
Like
though.
a magic eye picture that's trying to kill you.
Mm-hmm. Also, don't need that key anymore.
You said this was 100%. Let's play that.
Look, since keys can be transferred between dungeons and you can accidentally run out of them and need to shop, that's just a resource. It's like trying to tell me to pick up every bomb in the game. I can't do that. There are as many bombs as grains of sand. Also, every 10th enemy has the bomb. I've waited so long to mention that, but yes, the game out and out tells you every 10th enemy you kill will guarantee you a bomb drop. Also, here's Gleeok.
You have to kill them without, like, getting hit, though, right?
Maybe? Probably.
Like, it's not that simple. Like, I think you have to not get hit and also kill the 10th enemy with a bomb.
That would be redundant, so probably not, but I think you are right about the first thing. Also, yeah, that was a four-headed Gleeok, so boss we've seen before, but just really annoying. Anyway, next time it's the last episode of Zelda.